Welcome to Let's Talk. Where ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. We are live and interactive. With education, spoken word, dating, love, and relationships. Culture. Spirituality. Community. Sports. And politics. Let's talk. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, as well as Twitch. We're on Twitch this morning as well. This morning, me and my co-hosts, we had a lot to discuss, man. Super Bowl's coming up later on this evening, as well as a whirlwind of NFL rumors, which usually Roger Goodell kind of like puts a gag order to the owners when it comes to NFL rumors during this time. So they try not to take away from the Super Bowl and the pre-Super Bowl hype. But this year, it just seems like the influence of information is like crazy, and it's kind of like taken away from the game. But we have to understand that this is all post-COVID, so everybody's dealing with everything different. So me and Dwayne are going to discuss what we feel, how the Super Bowl is going to go, and definitely we're going to talk about some of these rumors first because it is going to be a major shift in the NFL next season with these quarterbacks going different addresses, different places. Some of these organizations holding people hostages. Some of these ex-players and coaches getting mad at people wanting trades. So right now, a lot of football issues are dealing with not only just stuff on the field, but actually dealing with a lot of our social makeup as a country.
Yeah.
Because when you got analysts being accused of being racist based off of being told to keep that same energy,
Yeah.
we got some stuff we need to deal with. Because at the end of the day, as black men doing this show, we could try to get away from what we want to say, and we know that we've made a lot of strides in this country, but at the end of the day, when you try to buck the system, so to say, some of the powers that be get mad. And why do they get mad? When you're trying to be in control of your future, which is very interesting because it's like a double-edged sword, because it appears that our white counterparts, when they do it, it's no problem. But when an African American does it, it's an issue.
Okay.
So this morning, Wayne, I'm sorry for that long monologue. I didn't want to take away from our show. I know that you're fired up.
I'm fired up,
you've
man.
You've been feisty on Twitter for the last 24 hours. We've been conversing.
I've been on Twitter going back and forth with people. But happy football Sunday, man.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always a special day, man. Every Super Bowl Sunday now, I wake up and I think about my dad and what I used to be our Super Bowl Sunday routine. We get that Sunday paper, and he would make me wait for the sports page because he had to read it first, and I would read comics. And I remember NJ.com, well, Star Ledger, every year would have like the nice little display, and it was like cartoonish, but they would have the offensive lineup and the defensive lineup, both sides lined up against each other in the paper. And I used to love just looking on that and the anticipation of it. But we know as true football fans, the games rarely match the hype of the Super Bowl. It's kind of odd to say that. It's everything else encompassing the Super Bowl, which is a little bit different this year because you didn't have the Chiefs come in until yesterday. And they did have NFL experiences down there. Yes, I had a friend who took his son down there, and he showed me a little footage from it. And I was a little alarmed by the fact that there wasn't a lot of mask wearing down there in Florida and Tampa. That surprised me a little bit. And the amount of people that was milling around, not all wearing masks. It surprised me a little bit. But there's a lot going into this Super Bowl, man. Unfortunately, Andy Reid has family issues again with another son. Unfortunately, his oldest son had drug issues, committed suicide. Now his younger son allegedly driving drunk and plowing into two cars, and now this little 5-year-old baby, she's fighting for her life. So you wonder if that all has an effect on the mindset of the head coach, with his son having to stay back, and his son is a linebackers coach. So, but hey,
I know one of the questions that you said that you had conversed with somebody, and I thought about what you said, and I do based off of everything that's going on with him and what we've always been told about Andy Reid, and I really believe this is Andy Reid's last game as a Kansas City Chiefs coach. I think that he's going to step away. He may come back and coach, or he may just retire. I think he may take a couple years off and may try to come back again. I think this is going to be Bieniemy's shot, win or lose, because Andy Reid, as a coach, and like I said, what we've always heard about him, how he's a coach's and a player's coach. I think he's going to take some time off. His son may eventually be arrested for if he was driving impaired, and hopefully the little girl survives and get back to 100% health. But I definitely think this is his last game. What you want to do? Would you like to discuss the game first, or do you want to discuss these rumors? I kind of want to discuss the rumors before we get to the game.
We'll get into it. All right. The hot one this morning, and I'm sorry, I believe Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport better than I believe ESPN. And Pelissero and Rappaport are reporting that the Cowboys want to sign Dak Prescott to a long-term deal before the March 9th deadline. And if they cannot come to a deal, they will tag him. So he will not be hitting the free agent market. They will not be trading them. It is the Cowboys' intent. They're happy with the 2 surgeries he had on the ankle, So it's the Cowboys' intent to sign Dak Prescott to a long-term deal before the March 9th deadline. So that's basically a month. And if they can't get it done, then they're going to tag him at $37.7 million.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that me and you discussed Pelissero and Rappaport's report, and then you took a phone call, and then ESPN comes back with a whole different report and refutes it. I think that sometimes it's very bad reporting. We know that Pelissero gets a lot of his information because he's close with Mike McCarthy. Right. So I'm not saying Mike McCarthy's a leak, but I'm just saying he's close with Mike McCarthy. A lot of times with these guys that work around the teams, a lot of them have relationship with the upper management and the coaches. So a lot of these leaks and rumors are not just rumors. They're actually coming because everybody wants to sway their narrative towards what they think.
Be first too.
I think the Dak Prescott thing is interesting interesting. Everything that we know Dwayne as Cowboy fans about him as the player knows that this young man is going to make the best decision for him. It's not going to be based off his brother. It's not going to be based off of who he likes. He's going to put himself in the best possible situation, and regardless of what he does, it's not going to take away from who he is as a person. The man handles himself well, and it's something you brought up about 20 minutes ago. That whole draft class is crazy when you think about it. Even to the point, not just the quarterbacks. I know the quarterbacks. Dak's the only one that's with his original team still.
Well,
But even
Carson
Carson Wentz as well.
Until
Even to the point of understanding, Bosa, Zeke, Jalen Ramsey, and it's like that draft class was considered by the NFL as the deepest draft class ever. And to see all the flux that has happened in 4 or 5 years since they all got drafted.
You look at the top 5 picks in that draft, and there's a chance that the only person that stays with their team out of that top 5 picks is Ezekiel Elliott. And it leads me to a very interesting question. I didn't ask anybody else this. I wanted to wait for this show today, and maybe we'll have some people in the comments. But has the Joneses handled this situation right? And the reason I say that is the Chargers rushed to lock up Goff and gave him the highest paid contract at the time. The Eagles came right behind it and extended Wentz and gave him a big contract. And now, less than 18 months later, Goff is in Detroit, and rumor has it that Wentz is going to be in Chicago. So did the Joneses handle this the right way? We're letting it play out this way.
I think that one of the biggest things is that as fans and people that are into media, is that we always try to count other people's money.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this wasn't the way 15, 20 years ago, but nowadays everybody wants to count the next person's money. So they'll say, well, they don't like him because they didn't lock him up. They didn't do this. But as two objective Cowboy fans, we try to be objective, and I know sometimes me and you will throw things at each other just to get a gauge on the other side. I'll say something to you in reference to Dak, and I'll be the pro, and you'll be the con, and vice versa. One of the things that's interesting, and me and you both agree that Dak Prescott deserves to get paid.
Oh, yeah.
He does deserve to get some money. But one of the things that's interesting is, what was Dak Prescott prior to Amari Cooper? Amari Cooper is known as a great route runner. That year, they drafted a young Michael Gallup, and they decided to cut Dez Bryant. And one of the reasons why they decided to cut Dez Bryant is they felt as though that he couldn't get open anymore. But at the end of the day, he never had developed a chemistry with Dak Prescott.
Right.
So when you look at all these factors and realizing that they built the original team that Dak Prescott drafted to was built for Tony Romo. So
Right.
Now they built all this team around Dak Prescott, as Jerry Jones would say, I made it Dak friendly. So he has all the weapons. He has right now. They probably have arguably the 3 best receivers in the league outside of Atlanta. So is it the team or is it Dak Prescott? So it's a lot of things to consider.
It's a lot to consider, right? Because was Jared Goff all Sean McVay, or did he have some ability? Why was Sean McVay so quick to give up on the Jared Goff? Is Carson Wentz talented, or does he need Frank White? Right. You know what I mean? So I think one hand washes the other. I just think Dak Prescott has proven himself. He's a 4th-round quarterback. These other guys were first-rounders. No one was imagining that Dak Prescott was going to play. They thought he would be behind Tony Romo for a majority of his career. He was thrust into the starting lineup due to injury, and they couldn't take it from him the way he was playing. Now, we need a good Dak and we need a good Zeke together in concert for our team to be effective. But speaking a little bit on what you were talking about earlier, it's hypocritical to me. It's very hypocritical to me that a Dick Vermeil and a Brett Favre could be talking about Deshaun Watson in the manner that they were talking about Deshaun Watson. But now you got Carson Wentz basically doing the same thing, and you don't hear a peep out of Brett Favre or Dick Vermeil. You know, and I got in an argument with a guy, and he was like two different situations, but it's really not. It's not. And I'm here to tell people, the Houston Texans are going to dig in. It's not going to be very easy for Deshaun Watson to get what he wants. Teams are calling the Texans, and they're saying, we're not trading him. You know?
But we just added another member of the squad, one of the bros, Coach Ab, and I'm glad that he could join us this morning because Ab, we talk about rumors before we do our Super Bowl preview. Dwayne just brought up the rumor basically now Carson Wentz has demanded a trade, and we thought it was interesting that that basically they got the coach. Frank Reich is the coach who developed Carson Wentz.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eagles went and got the coach under Frank Reich who could basically rebuild Carson Wentz. They hired him as a coach. And then after they hired him as a coach, Carson Wentz demanded a trade. I personally think, and I know that Ab is a Giant fan, but he's objective. I personally, I feel like Howie Roseman and Howie has always done a marvelous job, him and Laurie, when it comes to that, what they've done in that organization, and they just won a Super Bowl a few years ago. I feel like they just got egg on their face.
I agree.
I as an organization, they look bad right now. They got rid of a Super Bowl coach to appease the player, and now the player is demanding a trade. And basically, a trade is going to be announced after the Super Bowl. No announcements goes on during the Super Bowl week, so it's going to be announced after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, probably Wednesday. And it's crazy, you know what they're doing to appease the Eagles fans. To appease them, they're bringing back Nick Foles.
Listen, let me tell you something. I'm a Giant fan. Being a biased Giant fan at first, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. I'm throwing my cards on the table face up. I am trading Deshaun Watson. I want Deshaun Watson. I will trade Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
If I was the Giants, that's what I'm going for.
Ab is doing the Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky from ESPN said he would trade Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, and 3 number ones to get Deshaun Watson.
I don't know about 3.
I doubt Gettleman could get past John Mara in the Tisch family's office, making a drastic change like that. But Ab, you would make that trade for Deshaun Watson?
In the New York Minute. In the New York Minute. The boy is 25, man. The boy can play. He is 25 years old. I don't even think he's reached his peak yet. He can play, man. Deshaun can play. I'm trading him. Because first of all, Daniel Jones, we don't know what he's going to turn out to be. Everybody's talking about his upside, his future in a few years. And then Saquon had a major injury. We don't know how he's going to come back. Get him while the getting's good. Running backs in the NFL coming down with dozen, man. Our running backs, Gallman, didn't play bad last year. And forgot the other boy's name, but our backs wasn't that bad this past season. So why not?
I think that one of the I do think the Giants should make a play. I think that every team in the NFL should make a play unless you have Russell Wilson's or Patty Mahomes. But one of the issues is one of the issues with Deshaun is, and Ab, I said this to Dwayne. Deshaun 18 months ago was just crying when he signed that contract. Like I am a pro player guy. I am not an organization guy when it comes to the NFL. Right. Even though I do root for a team, but I believe in the players, and I do think that. But as players, sometimes you got to understand that you took what you thought you was worth.
Yep.
Do I think he's worth 40 million? Absolutely. But
Right.
at the end of the day, once you start getting 15 to 20% of that salary cap,
Yeah.
now you're hamstringing the organization.
Absolutely.
And I think
You know,
that goes back to the Dak Prescott thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Jerry and Steven are trying to explain to him, but Dak's taking the approach that Tank Lawrence took. That's your problem. That ain't my problem.
Right.
I think it's disrespectful that Dak hasn't gotten an extension. I think he's
Right. I
proven
agree.
himself. I think if you look at that 2016 draft class, Goff is gone. Winston's about to be gone. They went 1 and 2 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The other
Good point.
quarterbacks that was drafted ahead of Dak Prescott are all out of the league, except for Jacoby Brissett, who's a backup, and one other guy who's a backup. So the last man standing is really Dak Prescott. And hopefully my team is smart enough to lock him up. But as far as Deshaun Watson, I don't think Houston's going to make it easy for him, man.
No, they're not.
They're gonna
I mean,
make him wait it out.
is he in the position to recuse those fines, to take those fines and be like, I'm not reporting. See, this is where the rubber meets the road again. It always is, and I always try to remind people with this present day salary cap is that former NFL player and NFL player rep Ryan Clark of the Steelers, who's on ESPN, was the only team that did not agree to the salary cap.
Mm.
And these players have these reps and they agree to the salary cap, and then they get mad at collective bargaining, which is interesting. So Deshaun is at a situation where he has asked for a trade, and they're not going to trade him easily. And the team that takes him has to not only give up assets, but has to give up a $40 million price tag.
Yeah.
So it's only 4 or 5 teams in the league that could handle it without giving up certain players. I mean, I think he put himself in a real bad situation with signing the contract. Sometimes signing the contract, okay, I'm getting this money, I'm gonna be guaranteed, I'm set, my family is set for the rest of my life, regardless of injury. I think that sometimes the players need to look at the direction of your organization before you sign these long-term deals. You need to look at other players' contracts. You need to look at where y'all headed. Go in there and say, like, we talk a lot of times outside of football. Go in there and look and say to your organization, what's your 5-year business plan? What's this? Houston is in Texas. It's a tax-free state. So $40 million in Texas is $40 million.
Right.
$40 million in New York City with them taxes is not $40 million.
It's like
but
21,
it's still
22 million, 25
but
million.
it's still $40 million on the cap. So
Right.
I think that
Exactly.
he needs to consider this. Sometimes these players get endorsements that they've earned, and I don't want to ever make it seem like I'm speaking like these players have not earned the right to get the money they get, but they need to be mindful of, this is like a business. You got to ask, like, what's your 5-year plan?
And I think that's part of the reason why Deshaun did what he did and got I think he got $73 million guaranteed. And I think that's why Dak is in the same position or wants to be in the same position. Because he's like, NFL contracts aren't guaranteed. They can cut me off, chop me down like a dry weed whenever they want, and say, you know what, we're done with you, cut you. So NFL players take their money up front, have it whatever they have annually after that upfront money. And then they're like, you know what? If they can afford to pay me $73 million up front, $40 million a year, 45, 35 a year, they like, these organizations have a lot of money. So they're gonna take their money. And I get that part. So it's a double-edged sword. But Q, that's a great point as far as a team's 5-year plan and what they want to do and how they're building. Because I think Deshaun Watson, if I'm not mistaken, signed his contract before they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins.
Did.
Yeah.
So that might have had a lot to do with the reason why he was like, oh, I'm locked in, I'm staying. And then he saw some of the moves they making. He's like, well, hold up. Like, what's going on?
can the
Having the
NFL
best
become
receiver in
like
the
the
league
NBA?
is pretty much a pretty appealing. You got the best receiver in the league, and you the quarterback.
And that goes shoots to another thing that me and Dwayne always speak about is a lot of people don't know the history about how the NFL prior to revenue sharing stepped in when the Giants were the 70 Giants when we were all kids were quote unquote in disarray, and the NFL stepped in because of the New York market.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Dwayne always talk about it now, like, is they ever going to do it? And I think that the NFL won't step into these franchises no more because at the end of the day, it's revenue sharing and it's not really hurting the whole NFL's bottom line.
Right.
But I think the Houston situation is so much rumors and innuendo with what's going on inside this building, inside with the Washington football team's building, which is interesting because the Washington football team's building, it sends out so many mixed messages, good and bad. You don't know what to believe because they have a very diverse organization,
Mm-hmm.
but then the owner says that the co-owners are conspiring against them. So it's like
Right.
so many mixed messages, and you kind of, remember those years when we were kids where the NFL stepped in and basically forced George Young on the Giants to clean up that franchise, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what's going on in Houston. The New York situation just got basically cleared up because Woody Johnson is back in the building, but it's weird what's going on. But one of the issues I do want to address is the Carson Wentz thing is it's intriguing to me
Mm-hmm.
because I
Yeah.
think that he's very talented, and it just like I've been saying for the last year, I've never seen a quarterback digress so bad.
Well,
Uh,
do we? And I know they got to be stronger minded than they are sometimes. And what I mean by that, this is a country kid that went to North Dakota State,
Mm-hmm.
which is not no media hotbed where he was only
Exactly.
dealing with like 1 or 2 reporters. He came to the Eagles. Everybody told him how great he was. He led them to the Super Bowl, but then Nick Foles went in there. He got to
Mhm.
walk past a Nick Foles statue outside of the facility every day. And that Philadelphia media and their fan base is unforgiving. And I
Mhm.
just don't think he can handle that end of it. I don't think he can handle if he comes back to Philadelphia. Now Doug Peterson's gone. If he comes back and struggles, I don't think he can handle the backlash that would come to him from the Philadelphia fan base and the Philadelphia media.
oh, he'd get booed in the first quarter.
That's
First
what I'm
incompletion,
saying.
he'll get booed. First incompletion, he'll get booed.
I
He'd
think
get
the
booed.
best place for him, for his mental and him being able to play on the field, is Indianapolis.
Hey, Ab, let me
Small.
ask you your thoughts on something, Ab. I know me and Dwayne talked about it. What is a lot? I've seen a lot of interesting statements about the Matt Stafford going to the Rams. Do you think that elevates the Rams, Ab?
I don't know. I honestly don't know because Stafford is what? He's in his early 30s now because he's been
Hmm.
around for a while. He's no spring chicken, but I think he's still got some good years ahead of him. I just think that it was just time for him in Detroit to part ways. It was just time. They had been through so much over so many years, winning here and there, not winning. So I think it was time. But then it's like the Rams were 10-6. Like we have to keep that in mind. The Rams were no slouch team last year. So to add him, I mean, they might be some contenders, or we're going to see if Detroit's issue was him or if it was the organization, the team, or what have you. So,
I think that trade, like I was telling Dwayne, was one of those trades that's a win-win for
mhm,
both teams. I think
right.
the Rams need that spark, a quarterback who
With some
arm
experience.
talent, yeah, experience, who has excellent arm talent, and the only problem that can occur is the great, as people like to call him, this great young mind, McVay. Will it clash
Hmm.
with Stratford? I think
Right.
that Goff being around the coaches that he's going to be around and how they handle themselves, and from the preparation standpoint, I think he's going to see a different style of coaching where he's going to be held to a different accountability and
Right.
learning how to protect the football. And I say this only because I know Dan Campbell has never been a head coach, but I'm a big Dan Campbell fan because he comes from that Parcells tree, man. He was coached by the coach, who I love and respect, and I know he's going to be very judicious and professional how he handles himself. Um, Dwayne, and I know you were shocked that people were basically saying like Stafford is a compiler of stats.
Listen. Let's not sugarcoat it. Okay, we're not gonna sit here and be politically correct. The people that was complaining about that trade and calling that trade stupid was 49er fans. That's all you heard from 49er
Yep.
fans. Oh, the Rams are stupid. They gave up this, they gave up that. And you know why they felt that trade was stupid? Because you're gonna have Robert Wood, Cooper Kupp, Higbee, Reynolds, Van Jefferson, Cam Akers, and now you got a strong arm quarterback. You had 49er fans talking about he's 33 years old with back problems. Back problems? He just completed a 16-game season. We played all games and threw for over 4,000 yards. Now listen.
That's called fear.
Yes.
One of the
That
biggest
is
things is
fear.
that sometimes when we assess football, we don't be honest. The only thing that the Rams got to worry about offensively
hmm
can the future Hall of Famer Andre Whitworth continue to hold up?
Yeah. Could he
Because
hold
if he
up?
continues to hold up,
Listen, I'm a Cowboy fan, okay? I wanted Matt Stafford nowhere near the Washington football team. I didn't want him nowhere near them, okay? And I didn't want him going to the Rams either as a team in the NFC. I wanted his butt going to the AFC somewhere. Now, everybody talking about, Detroit. What did he have around him in Detroit?
Yeah.
Megatron for a couple of years. But other than that, who is he throwing to, man? Galladay and Marvin Jones Sr.?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, who was his running game? Who?
This might be like Brady joining Tampa.
Exactly. Now,
Great.
all of a sudden, if you go be under McVay for 2 seconds, you're going to get a job. Another one is assistant coach who just got a defensive coordinator job yesterday. So, I don't get it. Why is the NFL so enamored with Sean McVay? He went to the Super Bowl. He ain't winning.
what's interesting is not only is they think that his coaching tree is great, but they actually feel like he's a better coach than Shanahan, who he came from. I mean,
Well, let me tell
I
you
understand.
Let me tell you something. The best move Raheem Morris made when he didn't get a head coaching job was going to be the defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. Because obviously that's where they going to get these coaches from off this guy's tree. So Raheem Morris going to get a head coaching job next year because he's going to be a year under McVay. It was the greatest
Yes.
thing Raheem could have done.
It's
I
amazing.
was,
It's
I
like
was just
these,
about to give him a shout out to Irvington, New Jersey, baby. Raheem Morris, Rams
it's-
DC.
it's amazing because when you look at McVay and Kyle Shanahan, this is the grandkids of the West Coast offense. That's the funny part. And then when you look at the other side, because it was always Coach Parcells, the Parcells tree, the Walsh tree, the West Coast offense against Parcells' defensive philosophy, mind, run and play defense. And it's like these coaches were so great that you're saying their coaches get these jobs. Ab, drop for a second.
Yeah.
But one of the
But it's
segues.
interesting, right? If I could just keep going down this road, if you don't mind. We all know the quarterbacks get all the fame and they get all the ridicule. But it's very interesting in this NFL that you may have almost half the teams in the NFL with new quarterbacks in the 2021 season. Like, what are the Jets going to do? I think the Jets should keep Sam Darnold and build up their offensive line with that number 2 pick or trade down. But, you know, as you taking somebody in the first round of the draft that's better than Sam Darnold, with Mike LaFleur coming in and Robert Saleh, and they're going to play that 49er-style offense, okay, what is going to happen with the Saints? Now, Sean Payton is saying if Drew Brees retires, he wants to re-sign Jameis. You know,
It's funny, Dwayne, that you actually brought up the Jets because I think that a lot of people in the NFL fandom don't understand that their record, the Jets' record, did not indicate their talent level. When you really look at the Jets, Dwayne said offensive line, but Dwayne knows last summer, free agency, they got two bookend tackles together. The Jets is a very interesting team. Like I said, I don't think their record indicated their talent level. Quentin Williams is still a budding young star. They have probably the best young free safety in football. And then Darnold. And they reported that a bunch of teams are calling about Darnold. And I believe rightfully so, because when you look at the young quarterbacks, has he been around the best skill position players?
hasn't. And I'll say this because I went at some 49er fans about their take on Matt Stafford. If I'm a 49er fan or I'm a member of the 49ers organization, I'm beating the Jets' door down to bring Sam Darnold back to the West Coast and put him in that offense with Shanahan.
I'm watching ESPN right now, and they're saying the Jets are getting and listening to offers for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
It also said that Carolina offered Detroit, Teddy Bridgewater, and some draft picks for Matthew Stafford. So this thing is getting interesting.
It's just getting very
Sean
interesting,
Watson.
man. I think the rumors.
Texans continue to tell teams they have no intentions on trading Watson.
Right. And to be honest, I think the rumors is dominating the Super Bowl. And
Yeah,
as
it really
you
is.
said earlier, usually Roger Goodell don't like for that stuff to happen, but he can't help it. You know, we're in the age now with COVID and everything like that. That man, they can't stop this information flow.
Let's segue into our Super Bowl thoughts. This Super Bowl for me, it's very hard to dictate, and I'm gonna just clear out say it. I want the Kansas City Chiefs to win.
Me too.
I think as a football fan, and you understand timing, roster.
Can I stop you for a second?
Go ahead, Dwayne.
I'm sorry. So ESPN reported earlier that the Cowboys was far apart from Dak Prescott, right? So now they just put up a placard with all the teams that need quarterbacks, either trade, free agency, or draft, and you don't include the Dallas Cowboys on it. See, that's the problem with ESPN.
Dak ain't going nowhere. That's why.
It's that clickbait stuff. Now you gonna put out here to refute what was on NFL Network, that the Cowboys is far away and they may explore the options, and then you put up these things about teams that need quarterbacks, and you don't include the Cowboys. But I will say this: nice hat that Susie Colbert is wearing right now. But I'll let you get back to your Super Bowl thought. I'm sorry.
I want the Chiefs to win, but I understand what happens in the NFL. I understand when a team gets hot and a unit gets hot. And right now, what we have is a unit that is beat up, Kansas City offensive line, going against a defensive line that is on fire.
Three Fingers himself is on fire.
One of the things that as a Giant fans should be very happy is JPP is on that defensive line for Tampa Bay.
No,
I'm letting people know that as much as JPP has accomplished, as much as Ndamukong and Suh has accomplished, they might be the worst two linemen on that line.
That's scary.
Because Vita and Shaq Barrett's
getting it done, man.
And
all Three Fingers,
that's scary.
Old Three Fingers coming off that edge.
And one of the things that we've seen with, and I'm saying the Giants because JPP was a member of the Giants teams that won the Super Bowl. The funniest thing about looking at a defensive line, when you can rush 4 and get a quarterback off his spot and allow 3 linebackers to do and just roam. If you look at Tampa Bay's linebacker core, the linebacker core has stepped up because of the not having the blitz. And this is the same exact format that the 9-7 Giants that just recently won the Super Bowls, just the same exact format. Having that NASCAR
Not
defensive
recently.
line.
It's been a
Yeah,
decade.
it's
10
been a
years.
decade. But it I'm just saying recent for
Seems like yesterday.
we're gonna get to Ab.
It's been
You
a
got
quarter century
you
for my team, so I
you
can't
guys
say
in the
too much.
audience, you guys that follow Let's Talk, we appreciate you guys. But
Appreciate
you guys haven't seen Ab since last year on the show. But I'll just say this: two of the most classic times with my friendship with Ab. I gotta say it. One Tuesday morning, Dwayne just happened to be at work. Craig was home. I was home. I was working nights, and I think Ab was home or Ab was at the office. When the Giants named the head coach,
Joe Judge.
wow. Ab's response
What was
was
my response?
Ab, who did they just name the head
He was
coach?
like, who
Judge
did
Joe
they
Brown.
Judge Joe.
That's Joe Brown.
Oh,
But he did a
But
good
but
job,
but
man.
but
He
my,
did a
my
good
response when we drafted Daniel Jones was the same.
no.
My
And,
Facebook post was
and then one
Daniel
time,
F.
then,
Bomb Jones.
then the other time with Ab was we were doing a coaches show. So I asked all the guys, send me a picture. But I didn't ask Ab to send me a picture. I go on Ab's Facebook page to get a picture. And it was not a coach's picture. Just put it that
Cold
way.
blooded.
So he
Cold
said,
blooded.
"You got me looking crazy." I mean, the picture was a nice picture of the young man,
It was.
but it wasn't a coach's picture. He was like, "We're talking about coaches, and you don't even get a coach's picture. You go get a
Yeah,
a
man.
picture when I'm all cleaned up, dressed up, man. I don't want that
He
picture
looked
up
good,
there."
though. He was looking good, man. Listen.
Y'all terrible.
But
Listen, enough of me. Let's get back to the Super Bowl predictions.
yeah,
I'm with y'all. Brady is a hard man to beat. But is it over for the GOAT? Is this the GOAT's last ride? Side note, disclaimer, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't care what nobody say. Get Joe Montana out of here. This man won with 10 Super Bowls. I digress.
but
I digress.
in this
It's
modern
gonna be
day,
tough to beat the GOAT. It's gonna be tough to beat the GOAT. But man, that Mahomes is something else, man. But it's so hard to go against Brady. I want the Chiefs to win because I like Mahomes, but I'm 50-50 on this one this year, man. This gonna be a tough one.
like this one, I've been going back and forth with it. TB12 is my guy, man. He's a Michigan man. So he's a Wolverine. So I'm always love TB12. I was the first, and let me say it again, because I keep receipts. I was the first to tell people about Patrick Mahomes. Before he even got the starting gig, I put something on Facebook about him being the future, and I had people telling me, "Oh, you crazy? He ain't even starting. He behind Alex Smith." So yeah, I was the first. I'm big on Patrick Mahomes. I was a fan of his daddy when his daddy pitched for my New York Mets. This game is a tough one for me, man, because as we stated, that Tampa Bay defensive line is coming,
Yes.
and you got two new tackles for the Chiefs, and you got a center that wasn't preparing the whole 2 weeks because he was in COVID protocol.
Yeah.
So that's three people on your offensive line going up against this Tampa Bay situation. Now, the two safeties for Tampa Bay that got hurt, they're both going to try to play today. Whitehead is playing with a fully torn labrum. They're putting a brace on it. He said, "I don't know if I'm ever going to get to a Super Bowl again, so I'm playing." So that's what football players are about. They're the second toughest athletes when it comes to injuries, with hockey being the first. But football is the second toughest, where guys play through stuff. Intriguing matchups. Is AB going to play? They say AB is going to give it a go. So you'll have Evans, AB, you'll have Godwin, you'll have Gronk, Leonard Fournette running the ball. You got the Jones the second running the ball as well. I like Kansas City, but can I be honest for a moment? And this is a very biased take. I want Tampa Bay to win, right? And the reason I want Tampa Bay to win this, and I want you all to be very clear on this, and you can call me whatever you want to call me after I say this. The reason I want Tampa Bay to win this game is they got a black assistant head coach, they got a black offensive coordinator, they got a black defense coordinator, and they got a black special teams coordinator. In light of how the NFL missed the ball on diversity hires this year, I want this coaching staff to be lifting that Lombardi trophy at the end of the night. And that's the only reason I'm going with Tampa Bay.
Facebook user who said Kansas City will be 34-31 over Tampa Bay. You have to give StreamYard your name so we can know who you are when you make your prediction.
Now, that aside, on the field of play, putting that bias aside, I like Kansas City 37, Tampa Bay 31. I think too much Patrick Mahomes. Man.
I watched
but I'll be rooting for the Bucs if that makes sense. I'll be rooting for the Bucs.
This week, NFL Network, and I know it's been 2 years. The teams are different, but this week, NFL Network had the championship game, AFC championship game from 2 years ago, when New England played Kansas City. So I watched it very closely, and I know that to my buddy Dre, who I grew up with, also has a podcast. Andre, I know that he's hard on, as a Giant fan, he's hard on New England, and he's always going at the coach and the quarterback because he hates them. But he should actually be honored because his team was able to beat the best when they were at their best. So I never understand why my buddy Dre gets on them, but Dre beat the best at their best.
Twice.
I got an opportunity to really, really look at what Belichick did on the defensive side of the ball to slow Kansas City down. And I think that Todd needs to be very careful. Todd Bowles is a defensive coordinator who's very aggressive. And I think he needs to come out a little conservative because if he comes out aggressive and them receivers catch the ball and they're catching the ball in motion, Tampa Bay cannot play catch up with Kansas City. They can't. I know that Kansas City and Tampa Bay. I know that Tampa Bay has actually probably a very good offense, but the way that Kansas City is designed, and Ab will appreciate this, Kansas City is designed to play with the lead because what Spagnuolo is going to do is he's going to rush for and just get your quarterback off your spot. He has a winning record against Tom Brady. This is something people need to look at. Spags is one of the defensive coordinators who has beat and outmatched Tom Brady's wit. So I want Kansas City to win. I think it's going to be a very interesting game, but like I said earlier, the injuries to that offensive line and Tampa Bay's defensive line being so hot right now, it's a clash. One of the things I want people to watch in this game is that if Travis Kelce has to stay in and pass protect, Kansas City's in trouble. That's going to be the telltale sign if he has to stay in
to what
and
you
check.
said. If I'm Todd Bowles, I'm getting after Mahomes early. With those two new tackles and that center that hasn't been in practice, I'm getting after him early and often. Put the pressure on him. Because if you come out conservative and you give him time to heat up, you can forget about it. Get after him early and often.
Yeah, you gotta chin check. You gotta chin check that offensive line, man. You gotta chin check them.
It's funny.
Man, my heart is with Tampa Bay, but my mind is telling me that Kansas City's gonna lift that trophy again, back to back. Patrick Mahomes, and think about that. This young man has a chance, and I know we talk about GOATs all the time, but I want people to think something about this. He's 3 years as a starter in this NFL, right? If he wins this Super Bowl tonight, the man only has one postseason loss, and that was in the AFC Championship game. That's crazy in 3 years, man.
Scary.
One of the things that that is interesting about this game, and
that was
we kind of want Kansas City to win. Kansas City has kind of like all the opportunities to lose this game. What I mean by that is the off the field stuff going on with Andy Reid's son.
Oh, yeah, man. Whole nother
to
story.
not being healthy, the COVID scare with their barber. I mean, I even contacted Dwayne during the weekend. Was like, "Yo, this could be bad." That COVID scare that happened with their barber could have actually canceled the Super Bowl the next week.
Could
It
have.
sounds crazy,
It could
but I
have.
really believe if Patrick Mahomes would have caught COVID, they would have canceled this Super Bowl. They would have figured out a way to be like,
How do you
we're gonna do it the
guys?
following week.
How do you guys feel about Kansas City saying, "Hey, listen, man, Tampa Bay is at home. They're in their own facility. They're in their own practice facility." So, how do you feel about Kansas City deciding to do that themselves and not getting into Tampa until yesterday evening? You
I
think
think
that affects them in any way?
I think they played with Mother Nature. Mother Nature could have smacked them in the face, definitely coming out of Kansas City. I think that because of the COVID, Dwayne, I think it won't affect them as much because the schedules is kind of crazy. I think that if it wasn't COVID, they should have been down there for the pregame festivities, the media day. I think that all plays a part. I think it sells the sport. I think that they got away with it because of COVID. I think that Coach Reed probably was like, business as usual. But the flip side is, had they been in Tampa Bay, his son would never been in Kansas City and committed that act.
True.
So it's like, wow.
Tampa Bay, he might have OD'd.
Uh,
Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I had to put that out there. He might have been at the party in Tampa.
True story.
Everything is open and
So-
everything. They partying in Tampa, so
Let's
he might
have
have
a
did.
little.
It might have been worse.
Let's have a little fun right now, right? Y'all said who y'all think is going to win it, right? Who we think with our heart, who we think on our field. Taking Mahomes and Brady aside, throwing those two out of it, who do you think is going to have the biggest game for their team and why?
That's easy. Tyreek Hill.
You think Tyreek Hill?
Absolutely. He's the man.
And why you
Get
say
him-
that? Just
Get him the ball in space and you can forget about it. You can't catch that man.
okay.
Dwayne, what's the outside linebacker for Tampa Bay?
You
one that
talking
was-
about Mr. White, Devin
Him.
White.
Devin White, the matchup to me is Devin White and Kelsey. Folks, Devin White and the cornerback from Tampa Bay, if you want to look at some players lay wood, go look at that championship game from last week.
Yeah.
Them boys was laying wood.
Yeah.
The cornerback was laying so much wood he hurt himself.
Mhm.
He had Jones from Green Bay tap out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he
the
did.
matchup I
Yeah, he
see
did.
is White and Kelsey. I think that's an interesting matchup. I think Kelsey is so good at tight end. Like I said, if he has to pass block, which he wasn't a pass blocker last year, Bell was their pass blocking tight end.
How was
That's gonna be key on what they do as an offense. Like Av said, will Kansas City try to force the ball to Tyreek Hill? You got to watch them smoke screens, man, because once he gets a step on you,
Forget about it.
Can I give you guys one
can't
from each
forget
team?
about it. Can you what?
Can I give you guys one from each team?
Talk to me.
Both on the defensive side of the ball. For Kansas City, I think the Honey Badger, Tyrann Matthews, is
Ooh,
going to
that's my boy.
have a great game today. I think the world's going to really see how good he truly is today. And I think Shaq Barrett is primed to burst on the Super Bowl scene.
Shaq Barrett, for those in the audience in the chat, Shaq Barrett may be getting $25 million a year after this free agency.
I'm trying to tell y'all something. I see Shaq Barrett getting at least 2.5 sacks tonight, at least.
The boy can ball.
And,
Dwayne, let me ask you about a player. Ab, I'm gonna ask you about a player. Ab, I'm gonna ask you first.
Talk to me.
Winfield Jr., what you think he's gonna do?
I think he's gonna have a great game, man. I think he's gonna have a great game. I mean, the boy's destined for greatness. So,
Dwayne, I gotta ask you.
Mhm.
This is somebody who me and you wanted on our football team. Juan Thornhill.
Listen, man, Juan Thornhill. If anybody knows me, I've been a big fan of this young man. I was a fan of his when he was in college at the University of Virginia, and man, oh man, he's a safety. He's gonna have to come up big, man. Because listen, don't be fooled, man. Tampa Bay got some weapons on offense, man. Mike Evans, Godwin, Scotty Miller, AB.
Dwayne, your resident Chicago fan has checked in.
What's up, Spiros?
He was here earlier. Spiros was here earlier. I think he just came back on now.
Yeah, man. Y'all about to get Carson Wentz. How you feel about it, Spiros? I'm gonna ask you how you feel about Carson Wentz coming to good old Soldier Field. How you feel about it, brother? Talk to me. While you think about that, I'll continue my thought on Thornhill. He's gonna have to come up big, man. Listen, Gronk is gonna be in that post, in that slot position. They got the Howard kid also at tight end. So listen, Tampa Bay got some weapons, and you got to come up and you got to hit big Leonard Fournette, man. You got to hit him.
Yes, sir.
If you start catching the ball in that flat and turning it up, it'll be a big day for those Kansas City safeties. I think Matthews is going to show out, but I think Thornhill's going to be right there with him. It's a very intriguing game, man. Very intriguing game.
Oh, Spiro's comment. Hold up, Wayne. Of course you won 2016,
Of
2019.
course,
Of course
that's
you
the
win.
one But listen, who would you rather give up? Because I heard two different names. Okay, are you ready to give up Tariq Cohen? I like that cup. Are you ready to give up Tariq? Yeah, I like that. Are you ready to get up Tariq Cohen, or are you going to give up Robinson? You got to give them something. They want an offensive player. They want Nick Foles, and they want your 20th pick. So, what you doing, Spiros? Yeah, I agree with you, sir. I think Indy is the better fit for him personally. I just don't know that Indianapolis matches up with the Eagles. Hey, for some reason, the Eagles want Foles back, man. I guess they want to go with Foles to teach Jalen Hurts or what have you. But I'm excited, man. I don't want people to get all caught up in this Super Bowl, Brady versus Mahomes. There's some very other intriguing and key matchups that's going to determine who has
going to be a great
the
chess
Lombardi
match today.
Okay, Wayne. You know, it's a Chicago fan. He knows stuff. Look.
Yeah, but they saying that they may do that. They've been putting his name around out there. I agree with you.
He said
he's free, but they saying that they may tag him and trade him.
Spiros, I see you said India's GM very conservative. Chris Ballard's not conservative. He comes from that New England tree. Ballard is going to be a type of guy that wants picks. He's going to be cautious with his picks for Wentz, but at the end of the day, I believe that he knows that Frank Reich has worked with Wentz, so I think he'll be willing to give up something for Carson Wentz. India, the Colts is at a peculiar situation because they have everything like Chicago, but the quarterback. So they just basically, both of them teams just need a quarterback to get in place. I think that it's a matter of who you're going to get to flinch first when it comes to these quarterbacks, because if you're too patient, you might miss out on a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And if you're too aggressive, you might give up too much for a quarterback. I think you have to approach, and this is the one thing about the NFL that's interesting, the way they switched, and a lot of people may not understand. When the NFL made free agency before the draft, it affected both the way you approach your team different. Because when the draft was before free agency, you could draft your players and then let the chips fall as may. Now, I think it's March 6th, when free agency starts,
Yeah.
and you got the week before is the legal, quote unquote, legal tampering. So now all these teams might be so aggressive that they may actually mess up their draft board that their scouts been working on all year. So I think that we a lot of these teams need to be very, very careful. Teams like Miami, and me and Dwayne and Ab, hopefully, when we do our draft shows, we'll discuss it. Teams like Miami, teams like
Mm-hmm.
the Jets that have draft capital, they basically, in my opinion, they got to be very, very careful what their next moves are going to do. Wayne. Sparrow said the Lions actually had a chance to get Bridgewater in the eighth overall pick. They could have had the seventh or eighth pick this year. Yeah, the
You know,
thing about the Lions is interesting because Teddy Bridgewater's mentor, and I always like to talk about this. Parcells is Teddy Bridgewater's mentor down in Florida.
y'all overthinking this one. Okay, I understand what you're saying, Spiros, but
It was the GM.
You gotta remember, Brad Holmes was the person that scouted Jared Goff, and he was the one that went to bat for Jared Goff when he was part of that Los Angeles front office. So he wanted Goff. He wanted Goff. And Teddy Bridgewater, I love Teddy, but if he goes to Detroit, come on, man, how many teams would that be for him? Vikings, Saints, you know what I mean? Wasn't he with the Jets too, I think? Didn't he do a little cup of coffee with the Jets?
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater. So you talking about this being his fourth team. They went with who they thought is a more solid quarterback that they could build off of, that they have locked up for years, and Jared Goff. And I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan in the world, but you know, you gotta look at it like that, man. Teddy Bridgewater has been around the block a little bit. He's been on quite a few teams now, man. He on his third team, so if you trade him, that's his fourth team. I don't know, man. But you're right. That would have been intriguing if they had the seventh and the eighth pick in this draft. But they probably would have went with a young quarterback because can you trust Teddy Bridgewater long term? Like, why are the Panthers ready to move on from Teddy Bridgewater already?
Let's be real. Let's be real. We know why the Lions didn't trade for Teddy Bridgewater. Let's be real. You know that, unfortunately, a lot of black quarterbacks are not going to get preference when it comes to trade. Deshaun Watson, maybe. Patrick Mahomes, maybe. But this dude's like Teddy Bridgewater, who's been around for a while. He's just okay. And I like Teddy Bridgewater as a person, but I know he had that injury a few years ago. I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is as good as he used to be. So with or without the race card being played, no chance that he was going to get a shot anyway. Does anybody really want him in Carolina in the first place? They might be looking to move him.
Mm. I think the Bridgewater thing is interesting. Matt Rule.
I'm sorry, man. I was like Adam Scheffler there. My phone was buzzing with some trade talk.
So what was the breaking news report?
Somebody was correcting me, like Sparrow said. My insider was like, you got to remember, it'll be very hard for them to sign Allen Robinson, so he won't be part of that deal. But the problem is, Tariq Cohen went on Twitter last night and said that he was told by the coach and the GM that he's not going anywhere. So who is that other offensive player that the Bears are going to be sending back to the Eagles? I'm very intrigued by that. Could it be an offensive lineman? Could it be something like that? It's very intriguing, man. But, hey, man, it's Super Bowl Sunday, man. I love talking to you guys. You know, football has now become 365 with all the rumors and the free agencies and trades. But
I'm sorry to cut you off. When speaking of Super Bowl Sunday, they just had an alert on the bottom of the screen. It said Eric Bieniemy's contract is up after the Super Bowl. He becomes a coach and free agent, and they didn't re-sign him because he had head coaching opportunities. That's going to be very interesting.
Well, they said they looking. NFL Network said this morning they're looking to lock him up. I still believe with everything that's going on with his son, I can see Big Red riding off into the sunset tonight and turning the reins over to Eric Bieniemy, man.
Anything's possible.
I can see
I
it.
think Andy Reid loved the game too much. He ain't going nowhere.
I know, but he's also a family man who lost his one son due to drugs and suicide.
Yeah.
So now this is his other son who's facing some real time. Prayers for the little beautiful young girl, man. That 5-year-old girl is a beautiful girl. Can I reverse Phil a little bit on you guys for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to see what you guys thought because it became a little bit of a controversy. Two things last night became a little bit of a controversy with the NFL Honors Awards last night.
Oh,
Offensive Rookie of the Year. Listen, I think Justin Herbert is going to be a great quarterback in the future, but I think it's a damn shame that Justin Jefferson was not named Offensive Rookie of the Year after the numbers he put up with Minnesota this year.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they gave it to the quarterback instead of to the wide receiver who had the most receiving yards of any rookie wide receiver ever, man. Better than Randy Moss, who's a Hall of Famer. And then the other one, which is very interesting, and he went on Twitter after it, and then his big brother followed up after him on Twitter. Aaron Donald got it over T.J. Watt. If you look at the numbers, it's close. I'm a name drop a little bit. I had a little Twitter conversation last night with Tad Prescott, the brother of Dak Prescott. You know, He went on talking about T.J. Watt and how he felt T.J. Watt should have got it. T.J. Watt was a monster. And what he said, he put up their numbers. Okay, if you look at their numbers, T.J. Watt had 15 sacks. Aaron Donald had 13 and a half. T.J. Watt had 23 tackles for loss. Aaron Donald had 14. T.J. Watt had 41 quarterback hits. Aaron Donald had 28. And T.J. Watt got 53 tackles to Aaron Donald's 45. So people were saying that, you know, T.J. Watt should have got it. And so what I said to Dak Prescott's brother, Tad, is I said to him, Tad, you have to realize, you must realize AD's numbers are coming from the defensive tackle position.
Thank you.
He's a DT putting up those numbers, man.
Thank you.
I mean, T.J. Watt, that brother is standing.
He's an edge rusher. He's an edge rusher.
So I don't think,
come on.
when you consider where Aaron Donald is playing at,
and Aaron Donald has better numbers than some edge rushers in the league. Like, they need to stop this, man. I seen what J.J. Watt did, too. I was a little disappointed in him. Like, stop it, bro. Like, come on. Come on, man.
I think that one of the issues when you talk about Watt and Aaron Donald, it's funny how life, those of us, we're a certain age, and it's funny how when you look at football from the late 80s and how players are recognized to now, and I'm not comparing these players to these guys, but I remember the argument used to be, who was more dominant, Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah.
And NFC East fan here, I feared Lawrence Taylor. I fear him now.
Listen, he's the greatest defensive player to ever play the game.
You know, and
that's coming from a Dallas Cowboy fan who had an opportunity when I went to the Hall of Fame ceremony for Charles Haley. I had an opportunity to take a picture with Lawrence Taylor, and I refused it. And Lawrence Taylor asked me, why you ain't going to take a picture with me, man? I said, listen, I met you at the Union Market when I was 8 years old, and I got your autograph, but I'm not taking a picture with you because I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan.
You could have did it for me. Come on, Dwayne.
You know what he said to me?
I respect that.
He said, I respect it.
And me looking at Reggie White back then, I was a big Reggie White fan. I actually used to watch the USFL, which is funny.
Yes.
And then now translating how football is viewed now and looking at the year that Watt had and what Aaron Donald's doing. Aaron Donald is going down as an all-time great.
Listen, he is, man. He's the second greatest defensive player I've seen with my eyes.
Let me
The
tell you
first was
something. My boy
LT,
Jamal,
and then
my
I'm
boy
going.
Jamal said that to me about week 5 or 6. I said, "Maul, you crazy?" And then I started paying attention. I said, "Yo, he might be on something. Like they need to leave this man alone and just let him have his award." Like, and then he played
There,
injured at the end of the season.
there
Like,
is
come
there
on,
is a
man. They need
there
to
is a,
stop.
there is a few guys that I can actually say who defensively I would pay to watch. I would watch and I will be feared when they play against my team. And Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, Dion, Ronnie Lott, and the fifth one,
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald.
Yeah, man, that
Like,
boy's something else.
listen, don't get me wrong. Why you see anybody that remembers the Giants 3-4 defense, if you were
Hmm.
stupid enough to run towards Carl Banks or Gary Reasons, Lawrence Taylor was tracking you backside down. Watt can't do that, and I think Watt's a hell of a player. But if you want to run towards Bud Dupree, Watt's not going to come over there. He's not going to be able to track you down. Lawrence Taylor tracked you down.
Yes, he does.
Aaron Donald, I know that we say he plays defensive tackle, but he plays defense.
Yes,
Yeah, he plays.
exactly. He plays.
you
He
line
like
him up
he like a
everywhere.
middle. He's like a middle
You,
linebacker playing on the defensive line.
and what's really sad about Aaron Donald, and I think that this does not get talked about enough. Have you seen a lot of defensive players be able to play in the 3-4 and the 4-3? He plays in both systems
Right.
effectively. I mean, even JJ struggled. Even the great Lawrence Taylor at the end of his career, after his Achilles, they went to a 4-3 and he wasn't the same player. So
Hmm.
uh, Aaron Donald is something that we need to appreciate why he's here. And that's why the Rams will always be competitive, because they have two players on their defense who are the best at their positions. And it's easy to build around that because Aaron Donald will get double teamed every single
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
No,
thing
they
for the
had they had
NFL.
pictures. They had pictures of him getting quadruple and triple teamed. There's
Yeah.
actual pictures out there.
I don't. Hey Dre, I believe Singletary
Mike
was good.
Singletary, yeah, definitely,
I believe
definitely.
Singletary actually. I know a lot of people may think I'm crazy. I think Singletary was the second best middle linebacker. I believe Ray Lewis was better than Mike Singletary.
Mike Singletary's definitely top 5 of his position. You can argue that. You can definitely argue that.
Listen, I also last night put something on.
He getting on you, Wayne.
What happened?
You were supposed to take that picture with Lawrence Taylor.
Dre is
No, not
absolutely
me.
right.
Nah,
Yes, he was.
nah, he respected it.
Listen,
It's funny.
listen.
It's funny, Dre. Whatchamacallit was like, oh, you ain't gonna take a picture with me either, Plexico Barris. I said no. But my brother-in-law Reggie is a big Giant fan, so I took it with them. But that night, man, I've never been a fangirl in my life. Let me tell y'all something. That night at that Hall of Fame, when I saw Jim Brown, I wanted to be like a little white chick with Michael Jackson. I was ready to
Yo, you
cry.
stupid, yo.
I was ready to do all
Listen,
that. You know
I'm
what I
a
mean?
Duke fan. My son's a Duke fan. I mean, he got a picture with Roy Williams when he was at Kane last year. He got a picture with Roy Williams. I mean, like you said, you got to respect greatness.
Yeah, no, I don't. He's a Giant, and I was not taking no picture with Lawrence Taylor, but I still do have the picture of him from the Union Market when I was 8 years old. You know, so I do got his autograph. And let me say this, man, real quick, because I put something on Facebook and Instagram last night, and I don't think people understood what I was saying. I put Russell Wilson 2032, okay? Because if you listen to that man's acceptance speech of the Walter Payton Award last night, this dude could be the president someday, man.
I got to go listen to it. I didn't hear it.
Yo,
I'm gonna
that
ask.
speech was amazing. He
I
spoke to
gotta.
his dad in the speech, man. His dad ain't here no more. It was amazing. He looks very presidential, and that's why I put Russell Wilson.
I gotta ask you guys a
2032.
question. I gotta ask you a question. This is basically for Dwayne, and I know
Okay.
Ab is gonna have his opinion about this one, and hopefully Dre answers the question in the chat. Did John Lynch deserve to go to Hall of Fame?
John Lynch is a Hall of Famer. He is. He's a Hall of Famer. I I'm just gonna be a little biased if I could be. I'm taking Darren Woodson over John Lynch every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Every
I
day of
think
the
he
week,
deserved it. I think he
twice on
deserved it.
Sunday.
When
As
that
far as Dre's question, no, they had a thing down at the market. It was Gary Jeter, who was a defensive tackle for the Giants, and Lawrence Taylor. This was pre-Super Bowl. This was like, I was like 8, so this was like 82. They had Gary Jeter, and they had Lawrence Taylor down there. Man, that line was long. That line wrapped all around the Union Market. And you went up
I'll
to
just
him,
say this.
he signed those autographs for you.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question about Lynch, and I'm really upset that Darren Woodson was my favorite player of the Cowboys back then.
Mhm.
So I am being biased in my critique of John Lynch being a Hall of Famer.
Mhm.
I'm gonna throw a player out there, and I'm gonna ask you: do you think John Lynch was better than him? And it's not gonna be Darren Woodson. Rodney Harrison. Think about his career in San Diego, and then when he got to New England, and he won.
I like Lynch better than Rodney Harrison. I like Lynch better than Rodney Harrison.
Mm.
I don't think Rodney Harrison should ever sniff the Hall of Fame. John
Wow.
Lynch, I think he should.
Wow.
Rodney Harrison is what I would call a crumb bum. He's a crumb bum.
Why is that, Dwayne? Why? Because he was dirty at one time?
He was dirty. He was dirty. And he ran his mouth. And, you know, when I think about football, man, and I think about safeties, I will list a lot before I get to Rodney Harrison. When I think about safeties, I'm starting with Rodney Lott, as we all know. Tremendous safety. Dawkins, Brian B-Dawk, man, he was a problem with those Eagles defenses.
But let me ask you, Dwayne. Let me ask you. As football fans, we grew up in the 80s really loving the sport. You did not fear Rodney Harrison and Mark Carrier?
I didn't fear Rodney Harrison. He's a crumb bum. I was a Kenny Easley guy, though. Feared Kenny Easley. You know, Steve Atwater definitely deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Ask Christian Okoye about him, man.
I was about to say I can still hear that hit when he hit Christian Okoye with that forearm shiver. Career. I can still hear that hit.
I mean, rest in peace to the dirtiest player that ever played, Dirty Waters. Andre Waters was the most dirtiest player I've ever seen in my life. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. He died of CT. He died of some other stuff.
Listen, I'll take Cam Chandler over Rodney Harrison.
Dwayne.
Troy Polamalu.
Well, Troy. I'm not talking about the guys who are surefire Hall of Famers like Troy and Ed and Ronnie Lott. I just want to talk about these fringe guys. You guys don't like Rodney Harrison?
No, I don't.
I like Rodney Harrison. I don't have nothing against him.
He runs his mouth too much on NFL Sunday Night Football, and he just wasn't that great. Yeah, I eat a lot of sacks from White Castles too, Spiros. That doesn't move me. Okay.
Now, believe it or not, Spiros, Vontaze Burfict, compared to these guys that we talk about, Vontaze Burfict is clean. Because if Mark Carrier got a hold of you, buddy.
No, take it back. Take it back further than that. The assassin from the state of New Jersey. Let Jack Tatum get a hold of you, man.
No.
Yeah. These guys wanted you to be.
So, all right, let's do this real quick. If you guys would
I have no clue.
Bear with me. And we're going to do something really rapid fire. And if you're in the chat, join in on us. We're going to go position groups. We'll say the quarterback for last. Which team got the better running backs? Tampa Bay or Kansas City?
Tampa.
You like Fournette and Jones II over Edwards-Helaire and Williams?
Yes.
Okay, so you go on Tampa. I think I'm going to go Kansas City. Just to counterpart it.
Mm-hmm.
How about in the chat? Spiros Dre, the running back position in tonight's game. Who you think got the better position?
I got, it's crazy because both of them, those running backs are perfect for the system they run.
Yeah, they
But
are.
I got it. Fournette I just keep thinking about LSU with him, man. And I just think he's never reached his potential, yo.
Hmm.
Okay, so who you going with?
Tampa.
You going with Tampa? Okay, wide receivers, Kansas City or Tampa Bay? And don't be so quick to answer this. I want you to look at them Tampa Bay wide receivers before you quickly say.
Is this including tight ends?
No, we're gonna do them as a separate group.
Tampa wide receivers too.
I gotta
They
take
loaded up
Tampa
the wide
wide
receiver
receivers,
position.
man.
You taking the Tampa wide receivers?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, no matter
So
who their second.
let's name them out for people. So you got Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, little Scotty. I can't think of his last name right now. Number 10, little Scotty, and then Godwin.
The one who
Scotty
got
Miller.
one-on-one covered.
Scotty Miller and Godwin. So y'all going Evans, Scotty Miller, Godwin, and AB over Sammy Watkins, who they saying he's going to play today. Okay, Tyreek, Hardman, and God, I can't think of the other wide receiver's name now. I'm drawing a blank. You know what? I may go Tampa with you guys when you look at it as a collective. Okay, tight ends. Do you go Kelsey over?
KC.
Yes, here you go.
KC.
Johnson, you were right.
Kelsey's the best in the game.
Kelsey
Gronk is washed up.
over Gronk, but they also got OJ Howard now. Remember that?
Gronk is washed.
He's been
up.
potential. He's been potential, Dwayne.
Offensive
OJ Howard
line.
is like Evan Ingram, very good talent, but they haven't fanned out.
Offensive line. Kansas City
Easy.
or Tampa Bay?
This is easy. Tampa. I mean Kansas City. I'm sorry. Kansas City. Tampa's O line. I mean KC's O line is banged up. Tampa all the way.
Offensive line, I gotta go with. See, are we talking about healthy, Dwayne?
I'm talking
We're talking
about
about what they got
game.
tonight.
You can only go by
Tampa Bay.
today's game.
Tampa Bay.
I think it's a push. I think it's a push, right? I don't like Tampa Bay's guards at all. And I think Chris Jones could have a field day in tonight's games. So I'm gonna say it's an even on the offensive line. All right. Defensive line.
Tampa D line.
Defensive line.
Defensive line, honestly, Kansas City.
You do got Chris Jones. You do got Frank Clark. You know, I'm going with Tampa Bay's defensive line.
Even though I understand what Vita coming back did for Tampa Bay's line, it allows him to collapse those guards and make those ends even better. But I like Kansas City's defensive line.
Okay, so Sparrows, you're saying it's not even close.
He said, "What I'm smoking."
You said okay, I get it. Now, linebackers.
This is a biased opinion. You know how I feel about Kansas City linebackers. The Cowboys got two starters at their linebackers, or the ex-Cowboys. But honestly, Tampa Bay's linebackers are excellent.
Yes, man. You got David over there, and you got the white kid at them linebackers. All right, we're gonna do a collection, the corners and safeties together. Secondary. Who got the better secondary? The Chiefs
KC
or Tampa Bay?
I'm going KC.
Yeah, I'm going KC. So when you really try to, yeah, you're right, Sparrows. I gotta go Tampa Bay just because of those two. But when you look at it and you break it down, and that's a good question, Dre. I don't know off the top of my head how many each teams give up. But when you look at it position by position, offensively and defensively, if you're looking at it, man, we're set up for a pretty good game, man.
You forgot one position, game. Dwayne.
Quarterback.
Quarterback.
All right, I'll put it out there. Quarterback. Mahomes or Brady?
Mahomes boy.
You You're going with Patrick Mahomes, right? Yeah, I gotta say he's the better quarterback at this time. At this
I
time,
think so.
because this is
Historically, absolutely not. But right now, yeah.
this is not a career thing. This is this game, this day. So I would have to say Patrick Mahomes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick.
So I did a little thing on my Instagram today, and I just asked a specific question: who is going to win Super Bowl 55? And 67% of the people said Kansas City.
Kansas
The
City.
Bucks only got 33% of it. I mean,
I
take
said
that for
Kansas
what it's
City.
worth. So in the chat, Spiros, Dre, I think we had another gentleman, Benny Rivera. Give us a chat. Who wins the Super Bowl? Give us a score as well. Who wins the Super Bowl, chat? Oh,
Wow.
that's a good point.
Compared to coaching.
Spiro. Coaching. Are we talking about head coaching, Spiros, or are we talking about
Wow.
complete coaching staff? Because if you're looking at complete coaching staff, as Q said earlier today, Spagnuolo has given Brady's problems. Okay, Spags is giving him problems. So does Spags have something special dialed up for Brady? Now, I said earlier in the show, and I want to say stay consistent, I love the Tampa Bay coaching staff. I love the makeup of their coaching staff. It's hard to go against Andy Reid and his staff because they won it last year. So I'm going to punk out, Spiros. I'm going to call it a push. I'm going to say it's a push. Okay, so Dre got Kansas City 35-24. All right, I had Kansas City. Yeah, you're right, Spiros. This is what makes this a very intriguing Super Bowl to me, man. It's good matchups, and I think the coaching staff, I think it's going to be a good chess match, man. As any game, I can say something as in any game. Turnovers is going to decide it. We know that. We can go into every game. Oh, I forgot to ask a question. I forgot to ask you all a question. I left this out, and it's very important. Who got the better special teams, kicking and special teams? Tampa Bay or Kansas City?
That one, I don't know.
Kansas City.
Honestly, don't know.
You
But if I had to
Kansas
pick
City.
one, I'm gonna say Kansas City.
You like Butcher as a kicker?
Yeah, in Kansas City, one thing on it, their return game is nothing but speed, man. We all know that if Kansas City wanted to compete for the Olympic trials, they'll probably they'd probably be in the 4x4 Olympic trials.
They sure.
So I think that's key. That's one of the key things in the game, and I just if you look at Tom Brady and the way that Coach Arians traditionally coaches his team, their styles clash a lot. So you see that Coach Arians actually reeled it back because Coach Arians is trying to throw the ball down the field early and often, and that's not really Brady's game. Brady is more methodical. So it's going to be interesting how, from my standpoint, how Brady tries to control a game because you don't want to give Kansas City too many opportunities to attack your defense. You want to slow the game down against Kansas City. But then again, if you slow the game down and you're not scoring, and Kansas City scores very quickly, you could be down 14-0 before you know it. So it's going to be very, very interesting. You're right, Spiros. Belichick coaching and Arians is totally different.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. One of the things that me and Ab had disagreed on was how Todd is going to have the defense for Tampa Bay. Is he going to be aggressive? I think he shouldn't be aggressive. I believe he should be aggressive to get Patty off his spot. I believe that if you're too aggressive early and he get the ball to his skill positions, because I think that a lot of people don't realize Tyreek is probably the fastest man in the NFL we've ever seen, but Sammy Watkins is no joke getting the ball in his hands. Even Kelsey from a tight end position. So I think, like Dwayne said, I think we're headed for a very interesting football game. I know one thing as a football fan. I know that a lot of us have a lot of likes and dislikes when it comes to Super Bowl. I can't take halftime, y'all.
You don't like the
I've
weekend?
never been a half. I've never been a halftime guy because it's too long.
You don't like the
You
weekend?
know, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you could get Whitney Houston to come back to do the halftime.
Slow
I
down.
just
Slow down.
I know
We're
she's
not
the-
bringing Whitney back.
no
okay?
no, but I just don't like halftime shows because it makes the Super Bowl long. And what happens is traditionally you'll see it breaks up the flow of the game.
Q, another thing just flashed across the bottom of the screen. Again, sometimes it's information overload, but Scheffler is reporting that people are calling the Jets, and the Jets are saying they're not interested in moving Sam Darnold.
Wow.
Doing both. Yeah.
I think that, like I said earlier, Dwayne, when you was on your call, I think the Jets is at a very, 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 very interesting position. Dwayne, since we're here, I got you here. For those in the chat, me and Dwayne are going to be doing something very interesting this coming year for the draft show. Each week, we're going to go over a division before the draft, and before we do our mock draft, our big mock draft show, we're going to do. Each week, we're going to do a division, go team by team with draft needs. So, Dwayne, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Next week, when we do our first draft show, what division are we going to do?
Listen, normally there's an East Coast bias, so we're not gonna fall for that. So, our first 2 weeks, the first week will be the AFC West, and the second week will be the NFC West. We're gonna start out west, and we're gonna make our way eastward. So, week 1 we will be breaking down the AFC West. Week 2, the NFC West. Go west, young man. So that's where we're going. We'll start.
Yeah,
And
so
listen,
next
man,
week,
I'm
I don't know
excited
exactly
about-
what day, so just try to look out for the alerts for those in the chat. But we're gonna start going over our draft stuff. This is a very
Are we popping up at any point during the game, sir?
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Halftime.
I can't. I can't. I'm done. I have 2 Cornish hens that I have to put in the oven. You have to excuse me.
My New York Knicks come on in 20 minutes.
Nobody cares.
Go New York, go New York, go. We are
No New York, go New York, no.
We are the New York Knicks.
With that,
Hey,
with
big
that,
shout out. I want to take this time. My nephew, big moment in his life this week. Big Bank Hanks signed that full ride to American International College
Who's
to
that?
play football, and
Who's
he's
that?
going to be a business major, and I'm very proud of him. I know his father over there is very proud of him, and we just love seeing our young men moving on with their education, doing great things. Shout out to my man Jalen Carter. Rest in peace to his father, Suge. It was a big moment. His father was smiling down. I know he was. And I'm just proud of these 2 young men
hey, Dwayne,
for what they're about to do.
is Ab's son going to school in Massachusetts?
He's going to Springfield, Mass, brother.
Okay. Like I said, like Dwayne just said, he congratulated Ab's son on getting accepted to go to college up at American up in Massachusetts. I don't think Ab understands. I know Ab has told his son exactly what we were told when we were younger. Anytime that you can get your sport to play for your education, to advance in life, that's all it's really about. Is to because sometimes we can't afford to send our kids to college, so that's a great thing. And I don't think Ab knows we got a little mini pipeline up there. My cousin goes to college up there already.
Really? That's what's up.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
Dave
He
Brown.
played- That's my little cousin,
Who's that?
Big Dave Brown.
He was an all-conference tackle for AIC last year.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's
Wow.
my little cousin. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So,
So tell him
Ab,
look
man,
out for my boy.
Ab, first and foremost, congratulate you and the wife.
Thank you, man.
Um,
Humbly appreciate that, man. For real.
I don't like to say job well done because being a parent does not come with instructions.
The job is
Uh,
never done.
uh, all I can say is get you a BJ or a Costco card because you will be buying in bulk, shipping it up
Oh
there.
yeah.
So.
Well, we already have a Costco card, so
Yeah,
we're definitely prepared for that. And I know he's gonna
Ab,
need a little bit of everything.
and Ab, you know, don't
But
be
I know Uncle
afraid.
Dwayne and Uncle Quentin gonna send
Don't
a care
don't
package, so I ain't worried.
don't look.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to get certain people to be like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, just $10 a month, five
$10,
dollars a month, $10 a month
$20,
from ten
$50,
dollars. Look, Ab,
$5.
$10 a month from 10 people is $100 a month. So
That's right. That's right.
that's some of the
Uncle
thing.
Dwayne,
Man,
Uncle Quentin, Uncle Craig, Uncle Brian,
Yeah, Dre knows about going down to Dre graduated from
Uncle Dre.
Dre graduated from
I,
Shaw University. He knows about being down
Yeah,
there and
man.
having to figure it out.
yeah. So
Hmm.
before we exit this show and
Hey,
everybody
Ab,
goes,
this
What's
for
up?
you.
We'll do, Dre. We'll do.
before we exit this show, and it's been a great show, and I love speaking to you guys and the guys in the chat.
Definitely has been.
I would like one last thing from everybody in the chat
Hmm.
and the gentleman that's on the screen. Give everyone your favorite Super Bowl moment.
That's easy.
My favorite Super Bowl moment. A lot of people don't know this. Is the 93-94 Dallas Cowboys that won that second championship.
The 28 Super Bowl 28.
That Super Bowl 28 was my 19th birthday. They won. My
Wow.
favorite team won the Super Bowl on my birthday.
Wow.
There's no other Super Bowl like that to me. There can be no other Super Bowl like that to me. That was my great Super Bowl moment. I never doubted the Cowboys. I mean, anybody that knows anything about that Super Bowl is they said at halftime we just gonna give the ball to 22, and they came out 8 straight plays and gave it to 22. Troy Aikman didn't throw a pass that first drive coming out of halftime. They just threw it out. Oh, I like this. Sparrows, Devin Harris taking it to the house against the Colts.
That's
That was a big play right there, Sparrow.
The catch, Dre.
right.
Which one though, Dre? The
Manningham
Manningham catch?
Let me tell you
Or the
something.
Miriam Manningham
Let me
catch.
tell you something.
Manningham
Let me
or
t-
the Tyree?
The Manningham catch is the most underrated catch. I still
Underrated.
cannot believe how Eli threw.
It's not underrated because they was talking about it the other day.
Yo,
Eli
Ab,
He got his feet in
dime.
bounds.
He
that
threw a
was
dime, man.
That's like playing pool when you talk about reverse corner pocket. Because
Yeah.
the way he threw that
It
pass,
definitely
and then,
was.
See, you don't want to get me and Dwayne started because me and Dwayne argue with Giant fans about how good we think Eli was.
Yeah.
And a lot of Giant fans don't try to give Eli his credit. And
First
it
ballot Hall of
bothers.
Famer. First ballot Hall of Famer. That's my opinion. He's in the top 10 in every quarterback statistical category. He's a Hall of Famer.
Well, I'm gonna get a little nostalgic, and
Uh-oh.
I spoke about it a little bit this morning. My favorite Super Bowl was Super Bowl 27. That's when the Cowboys finally got back, and it wasn't even the fact that it was the Cowboys. It was the fact that I watched that Super Bowl with my dad, man, and nobody else. It was just me and my dad, and he's the one that gave me my love for the Cowboys, and to see us, and the game was over. So that's why we was able to really, really enjoy it, because
Right.
after that first quarter, that second quarter, we just started rolling and we knew we was going to win. So it wasn't no stress. And it was just, father and son enjoying the game, man. And
Right.
hey, the good guys won.
Most likely in the chat, most likely you guys,
Look at that
we're gonna
face when I
we're
say
gonna have a
good guy,
we're gonna
bro.
have a show every day this week. So most likely the draft show will be Saturday.
Yeah.
I got a show planned every day this week. Unfortunately,
And listen,
very very interesting show. We're going into Valentine's Day week, so we got
and
a very
listen,
interesting
I
show
know,
Wednesday and Friday. It's
and
hot.
I know this may upset our brother Dre. I don't know if he's still watching us, but if Mother Nature could just give us a break and stop all this snow, man, like I'm done. I'm done. And we got another round coming on Thursday. It's supposed to bring us another 8 inches. Listen, I'm done. Dre, I wish I could send it to you down there in Virginia. I'm done with this snow, man.
Well, I'll say this that my last week was destroyed because of the snow. I couldn't work. This week is looking shaky already. We have a contingency plan going on for the job tomorrow. I will tell you, New Jersey snow is not like PA snow. I'll take New Jersey snow every day. PA snow is 65 degrees outside with an overcast. The temperature dropped too fast. Next thing you know, you got some sprinkles. Spiros lives in Pennsylvania, so I'm quite sure he knows exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to Pennsylvania snow.
And
But
listen,
look,
I'm gonna say this, and I'm not saying this to be funny at all. I'm saying this to be very real. When these snowstorms is happening and everything, man, be kind to one another, man. If you can help your neighbor out, shoveling stuff like that, do
Yeah,
it, man.
man, for real.
Please let's
The
not
snow was
have any
heavy,
more.
man.
Let's not have any more situations like we had in Pennsylvania where 3
Yeah, that was
lives was
crazy,
lost
man. That was
over a
sad, bro.
snowstorm,
That
man.
was
Over a
sad.
snowstorm, we lost 3 lives. A 15-year-old
Yeah,
boy
man.
lost his mother and father over a snowstorm. We got to be
And I heard he
better,
was in
man.
the house when it happened too, man. I
Yeah,
heard he was in
we
the house
got to
when it
be.
happened. Then the guy went and turned to go in. So that was horrific, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
we got to be better. We got to love each other more. And you know, when we go back and forth on these sports things and we have different opinions, that's when it's fun. You know, because y'all
yeah.
can say Dwayne don't know what the hell he talking about, and I can think I'm the smartest guy in the world. I think you should call me. Actually, I want Abdul and Quentin. I want y'all to start referring to me going forward as Mr. Football. No longer call me Dwayne. You call me Mr. Football. Okay, that's just that's how I feel about it.
folks that know me, every once in a while I have to mute Dwayne, and this is one of those times where I have to throw the mute button over. Um,
Thank you.
so Ab, he
He
understands.
can still hear
Just
us,
like
right?
he can hear everything. He just can't speak. He's on a speaking ban right now. But,
Are
but
we
every
are
once
we
in a while I
are we
have to
getting
mute
ready to sign
Dwayne.
off? Are we getting
Just like
ready to sign
yes,
off? Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
just like Dwayne
Okay.
had to hang up on me earlier this week.
Hmm.
Oh, the funniest story, you guys. I was telling Dwayne a situation, and I said, "You sure you want to know?" And Dwayne said, "Yes, I want to know." And once I told him, he hung up the phone on me. So everybody in the chat, thanks you guys for joining us, man. Look for us next week to
Hold on, hold on,
discuss.
hold on, hold on, hold on. Real quick, bring Dwayne back in. Bring Dwayne back in. Don't do my boy like that.
I'm back.
So on a serious note, and unfortunate, very, 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 very unfortunate, tragic note. This is actually the reason why I called Dwayne this morning. Um, I got some news yesterday about another legendary Shabazz Bulldog legend that left us yesterday afternoon.
Oh no, Honey
I
Ray.
think he was in the class of '96.
Oh,
Big
96.
Big Shepherd Austin has
Oh,
left us. Big Shep. I don't remember where Shep went to college at. He was larger than life. I think he was at the Raiders for a hot second. Man, this dude was he's definitely a legendary Shabazz Bulldog. Um, our 9 years at Shabazz, he came and he instilled that Bulldog pride into our staff. He um he was so supportive. He even came to a couple of West Orange games this year. That's
oh
how I
wow.
know how much love he had for Darnell and our staff. Because the 9 years we spent at Shabazz, after that, some of the Shabazz people wished us well, but this man was still there for us, and still supported us. And losing him, you know, was definitely a shocking blow yesterday. And unfortunately, um, and don't quote me on this, but I'm from what I'm hearing, there may have been some COVID-19 complications. So that is a lot of people, a lot of people joke around, oh, COVID is over, COVID is go. COVID is real, man. And if you're considering taking the vaccination for it, by all means do so. I'm still 50-50 on it, but it's just to unfortunately let you know how real COVID is, man. Anybody that knows Shep knows that he was a great brother. He was a great supporter of the game of football. He loved the game of football. He loved being a Shabazz Bulldog. He loved the black and gold. And most importantly, he loved the kids. And he was always supportive of the kids and gave words of encouragement. And people always laugh at me like pre-game, halftime, post-game, practices, just random practices. I might pull my phone out and start taking pictures or recording stuff.
Right.
And it's for moments like this. I have a video of Shep that I'm going to share later on. I have one from 2018, our last Thanksgiving game at Shabazz. I have a video from 2012 with his brother in it. So I'm going to share this stuff later on. So, and this is why, I love the iPhone, and I keep the iPhone because I log right in when I get a new one and everything stays there. So,
Yes.
rest in peace to Shep, condolences,
peace, Shep.
to his family. I think he just recently had a son. His son just turned 1 recently. So, it's going to be rough for the family, man. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. It's the perfect way to wrap up this football show, Great tribute to a great man. And our prayers is with the whole Shabazz family. My mama was a class of 59 Shabazz. She was a Bulldog too, so she was the South Side before it was Shabazz. But
Yes, sir.
it's all the same, So
Yeah,
to the black and
about that.
gold family, you still look good to me. And
That's right.
we pray we fill it up for Coach Shep and his family.
With that, we're gonna close the show. Thanks for joining us. One of the things that I try to tell people when I left Union is I went to Shabazz for a year, man. And I love to always say this when we talk about shows. We talk about Shabazz. When you walk in the gym, it says welcome to the doghouse. With that, close the show. Glad for joining us.
Faith family
See you guys
football.
soon.
Faith family football.